All right, well, welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. What's up, Mike?
Derek, we're with our first non-whiskey guests.
Absolutely. We are here with the BriarBrothers. How's it going, guys?
Going good. It's going well. Happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. You want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. So my name is Betti. I am the head brewer and owner of BriarBrothers Brewing Company.
And I'm Joel Betti, head of operations and co-owner of BriarBrothers Brewing Company.
Nice. So what made you guys get into the brewing business?
Honestly, it probably started just like everybody else who goes out with their buddies a couple of nights a week, has some beers, and figures, why spend $5 a pint trying to do this when you can just give it a shot yourself? Stumbling with ideas of what to get Dylan for Christmas the one year, and figured, well, why not? Why not? Both of us benefit from this gift, and got him a home brew kit. So he opened it, he seemed excited. And we had all these aspirations of getting into it right away, and it sat in the closet for a little while. But it got a little snowy out, and it got a little boring. We were just sitting at home, nothing to do, nowhere to go, and figured it was the time to give it a go.
Yeah. So really, it was your standard homebrew kit. So you didn't need any fancy equipment, anything like that. We were literally in the kitchen with a stock pot that you make soup in, and,
Nice.
and that was it. And you're getting running water from the sink, and we spent hours in there just like learning and just reading the instructions over and over again. Like, what does this word mean? Googling like what the terminology is, because those kits are made for beginners, but the idea is that you have some kind of idea what you're doing. And
Right.
we had no idea. All we knew was how to drink it at that time. So it definitely opened a door for us, and it became almost an addiction. Right from the start.
So speaking of that, what was your go-to beer before you started doing this? And then also, what was your first beer when you got the kit?
So for me, before I got into craft beer, I was always in the darker beers, stouts, porters, things like that. And then it wasn't until Joel and I went on a mini road trip to Boston, Massachusetts
cool.
area, and we tried out the New England IPAs, and we had those where it really then grabbed my attention. And I think tasting the variety that they offer, just the first of all, the look, the flavor, the aroma, everything about a New England IPA, it drew me in. And I think that's what really caught my attention to wanting to let's try to make this. Let's just see, what are they doing that this is happening? What are they doing differently?
Yeah.
So I think to me, it started off drinking craft beers, moving from that, Bud Light, Miller Light kind of, category to stouts, porters, then to New England IPAs, which is really what then caught my attention to craft beer and the industry itself.
Cool.
Mine was Blue Moon. I thought that was a craft beer. I liked going to the store, buying an orange or a couple of them, slicing them up and having them with my buddies, and just be like, this is craft beer, and this is the peak of craft beer, and this is what we want. But that was a long time ago. Yeah. My story, I guess, isn't as cool as Dylan's, but I mean, that trip did actually open the eyes and figure out that Hefeweizens and beers that need fruit in them, or as a draw to it, is not necessarily, I guess, where I want to figure things out to be. So I grew from there. Like Dylan said, New England IPAs we caught in on the fad just like everybody else did. And we thought we'd give it a shot. And I think that's the first beer that he tried to put together was that New England IPA.
Yeah. The kit was a New England IPA kit, and it did not taste like what we tasted when we were in Massachusetts. That's for sure. It wasn't anywhere close, actually. We had such beginner equipment, things like that. And you had aspirations that it would come out that well. You're looking at it, you're watching it, you're like, oh, you're looking at the color while it's, fermenting and whatnot. You're like, this isn't going to happen. Yeah. But you spent way too long in the kitchen. You spent way too much time sanitizing, cleaning to be to just give up on it. So we waited, a month and a half to try it?
Yeah, because we just kept checking those bottles because that's the only way we knew how to carbonate back then, was just putting them in bottles, setting them in the coat closet back there for a month and a half, and then it was time to open it up, and we were dreaming of blue moons. We were hoping for blue moons after that. I'll tell you.
Awesome.
I think we reached a point of denial when we were drinking it. We're like, yeah, this is good. This is really good. And then we're just
saying enough. I'm in Hawaii right now. More.
Yeah. We're just giving dirty looks to our friends as they're tasting it. It's good, right? You like this?
Yeah. I will literally kick you out of my home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was pretty much. But yeah, so we did that. That was our first beer, and then I think that's what really showed how much we enjoyed it, was that it didn't deter us from trying again.
Sure.
So we went back, bought another kit, that is a little bit of a different kit. I think it was another IPA kit. But at that point too, over that month and a half between doing the first beer, I was learning. I don't have any formal education behind brewing. It's all self-taught. It's literally there's a book called How to Brew Beer. I read that front to back at least 3 times already.
Wow.
So I was doing that, going to YouTube University, everything in between, and
YouTube University.
right. And I started liking milkshake IPAs. So,
interesting.
Right. So I started tasting them. I started getting I just liked the mouthfeel, the creaminess of a milkshake style IPA.
Have you ever had a milkshake IPA?
I just wonder how many boys showed up in your backyard.
Not until we got 2 cups.
Yeah. And so we bought the kit, and I was like, let's modify this. Let's go crazy and do our own thing with it. So I bought the kit, threw lactose in it, which makes it a milkshake IPA, and I think it was almost the same ending. It got a little bit better. I mean, it tasted better.
I thought that beer was great.
So yeah, we threw pineapple in it too.
Yep.
We threw fresh pineapple in there.
And that was your second batch?
That was our second batch. Yeah, because again,
you guys started off strong. IPAs, then milkshake IPAs?
Yeah.
Don't people start with lagers and ales?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
We don't have time. We want to fail, and we want to fail hard.
Yeah, give it everything.
But yeah, that was our first beer that we named officially. We called it Hang Loose. It was just,
okay.
yes, and we haven't brewed it since, but we'll get there.
I've been asking him to.
We'll get there.
So what kind of beers do you have right now?
Yeah, so right now in your tasters we have, that's our milk stout. There's one of them at least. It's called Perfect Imperfections. All of our stouts, and we kind of wanted to build what's what I'm looking for here?
It's almost kind of just like a niche or a series, if you will,
Right.
for our stouts. All of our stouts are oxymorons. So, so we have these Perfect Imperfections, and we have
Public Secret, Beautiful Disaster.
That's sweet. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, so just kind of have that series of stouts, and they're all different. There's imperial milk stouts, but usually our I think the direction we're going is all of our stouts will be an oxymoron at some point.
That's cool.
So this one, we love adjuncts to stouts. Now, again, stouts are great on their own. I don't feel like they really need much added to them, but we're big fans of coffee. Joel and I are big coffee drinkers. So, right.
Yeah,
so a lot of more
going through my veins right now.
Yeah, right. More of our stouts than not do have some form of coffee in them, whether it's a cold brew that we do or if we just condition it on top of whole bean coffee. Perfect Imperfections, it actually has Ethiopian coffee.
Really?
So yeah. So with this one, the roast that we were looking at, it has almost a description of like honey and melon. And we figure with a milk stout, it might complement a little bit with the sweetness.
Sure.
And then we also conditioned it with Indonesian vanilla.
Oh, okay.
So, you get that vanilla taste. Again, a lot of our stouts do have vanilla in them as well. I just think it's just
very interesting.
It's a thing that we enjoy. So again, it's dark color. It's got the, maltiness to it that a stout would want. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just a real easy drinker. It comes in like 7.5%, 7.4.
Okay.
So it's heavier. It's a little on the heavier side, but it goes down real smooth, real light.
You can smell the chocolate right off the
Right. Yep.
Sweet. So that's
Oh my gosh.
dangerous.
That is very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Wow. It's thicker than I thought, but it's good.
Right. Yeah. And
It's very good.
Yeah, the thing we kind of want to avoid is that stout that's just lingering in your mouth and just feeling like you're chewing on it after a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously, it's like the end of a boot.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But
It starts heavy, but it finishes so soft. Like it just goes right down.
Right. And
Right.
I think a lot of that, from what I understand, is a lot of the vanilla helping out with that. And but I think that coffee finish at the end is exactly what we were looking for again, as big coffee drinkers and whatnot.
So how is this, to do it again the same way every time? How hard is that to duplicate it?
That's something that we've honed in on as the batches continue. Thankfully, he's got a great system in place where he keeps track of what he's doing. But as I'm sure Dylan will tell you more and more about, it's such a science that has just 1 minute off or a couple degrees off during your process can take it from something that you're extremely happy about to something that you end up putting down the drain. And I'm sure, again, Dylan could explain that even better.
yeah, there, consistency is huge, and that's a big reason why we brew on the system we brew on now is to eliminate any variables that can cause inconsistency, and kind of make your day a little bit more seamless almost. But yeah, there's so many variables that go into brewing. It's I won't get into too much about your mash temperatures, your fermentation temperatures, and if those vary in any way, and even by the slightest amount, it can change the outcome of what you're producing and what your product is. So we've rebrewed batches, and I think we've gotten to a point where we're happy with the consistency, and they've been coming out very similar. And with New England IPAs is a big thing because of the amount of hops that you're throwing in there. It's,
Right.
How is it? How is your fermentation going? When you're dry hopping, things like that. So yeah, consistency is huge. It does come down to like a science almost but luckily there are computer programs that we use that almost make that it lightens that like stress up and you just keep notes. You just if you do something different one day, you write it down. Anything that you do that's different, or certain times that you do certain things during the brewing process, you always write it down, because you could have a hit and you could forget what you did that day and it's gone. So
I think people don't understand how scientific it actually is.
Yeah.
They think they can just buy a kit and make it themselves, but clearly,
So we thought.
yeah, right. But clearly, it's a very, very
right.
like a pinch more, and it's all done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thankfully, to that though, we're at that point and we're at that size right now where we're happy to be okay with making something a little different from time to time.
Sure.
We have a system, and the amount that we're making, the volume of what we're making right now, we're having more fun trying new things, as opposed to replicating the same thing over and over again. We have the freedom and the liberty to try new things that we don't know if they're going to work together, or we want them to work together but they might not, and it just allows us to find things that are going to make us even better and more well-rounded when it comes time to having our spot of our own and people in and out. And that's something that Dylan's continued to do, batch in and batch out, is kind of push his own limits as well as just go with it, flow, just figure it out as we're going through it. And that's again what the nice thing is about having a system like this and being where we're at.
Absolutely.
Yeah, again, like Joel said, it's fun to experiment. A lot of breweries, and you see it, they have those beers that they have to put out consistently to keep up with production. So for us, again, we don't have that. We're able to we have the liberty of just doing whatever we want when we want. So
were you ever afraid of coming up with all your numbers, right? So you have, this is how I do things, but are you ever afraid that your numbers are going to match somebody else's and you're like, well, now what?
I mean,
That's true.
yes and no. I mean, it is very hard to replicate another beer. It's like, if there's too many factors that go into it. So a lot of brewers, and like what's so great about the brewing community and local brewers and even ones I've talked to out of state, they're so open to tell you little tips and tricks that they do. There's no secret, because at the end of the day, literally the water that you brew with determines how your beer tastes.
Sure.
So I can't brew, I can't get water from Massachusetts, so they can, they will tell me things that they're doing that is different, and those secrets that they have. So there's no really way of copying another recipe or another beer down to a T where you're like, this is the same thing, and we're just, we're ripping them off.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we're not too worried about that. A lot of New England IPAs, they do have a very similar base recipe. It's just how you, hop it, what yeast you're using, things like that. So there's so many different things you can do. There's so many different options available that you're really not replicating another brewery's beer. And if you are, you don't really know the difference. And if it's not done on accident.
Right. How much beer can you guys make at once?
So right now our max, so within a single brew day, we can produce about 15 gallons.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's if we're doing like our Berliner Weiss, which doesn't require too many hops, anything like that. We can get about 15 gallons of drinkable liquid from that. So yeah, it's a lot of drinking around here.
Yeah, I would literally just spend my entire weekend guzzling.
Yeah, for the whole time.
Yeah.
If I stop at the weekend, that's what I say.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So, as our listeners know, and as you guys know, we've started with whiskey and the distilled spirits. Can you guys go into the legalities behind how you guys are doing your process right now, and how you're building up to potentially sell to the public in the future?
Yeah, I mean, right now, New York State and the areas that we're looking to operate in, we don't have strict guidelines in place. Where we do need to find a brick and mortar, if you will, where we can set up shop, name as our own, and begin that process. Unfortunately, this beautiful setup we have over here doesn't qualify under the New York State guidelines for us to apply for a liquor license yet. So everything we're doing right now is just for kind of our own consumption and for our friends that come over. So right now we're in the process. Takes a little while. There's a lot of forms and time frames to wait for, and we're plugging through.
Yeah.
We're doing the steps necessary before we actually have to start putting money down, because we don't have that rich step uncle who's ready to step in and throw us a couple $100,000.
That would be nice.
That we can just go out there and rent a building down the street. But we're making things happen. I mean, again, really what I'm happy about and excited about is the the strides that we're making with the actual beer and how it comes out. So we hope to be able to have these available for people by the hopefully at the end of this year and early of 2021.
And people can keep up with your journey on your Instagram, right? You have social media?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything we do goes through our Instagram. That's our primary account. You can also follow myself on Facebook, Joel as well. We connect our Facebooks to everything, to our Instagram. So anything we post on Instagram, it does connect that way as well.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, any new beers that we release, any kind of new things we're doing, if we have new merch coming out, anything like that, it also Instagram's the primary social media outlet that we have right now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we do a lot. That way you can kind of see just the different styles of what we're doing. And, again, I said, we're in that experimental phase where we're just trying new things that sound crazy, things that, other places have tried, failed, or things that they wanted to improve on. So it's a really good way to see that. We do a lot of community outreach too, like whether it be bringing beers to a local golf tournament or something like that over the summer. It's things that we, just try and keep ourselves familiar with the community. And you'll see all that through Instagram.
Nice.
That's awesome. What merch do you guys have?
So right now, every couple weeks we'll put in a new shirt order. So we have the ones that you'll see Dylan wearing right now, which is our primary T-shirt. We have like an alternative logo that just kind of has BriarBrothers with kind of like a dripping ink look to it. We're in the process of getting some crew neck sweatshirts out there by a lot of the popular demand of the public out there. But yeah, I mean, that's really where we're at now. You can see that we have some coasters.
Yeah, these are sick.
We've got some coasters that are out here, bottle opener keychains, just all the fun knickknacks that you could want for your beer drinking necessities.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So what made you choose the name BriarBrothers as a brand? Because that's not your last name, right?
It's not. You probably are expecting a really fun story, but
No.
we grew up on Briarwood in West Seneca.
Oh, okay.
And we just so happen to be brothers.
There you go.
So here we are.
Are you guys twins?
No.
No. Who's older?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 3 years younger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think we were like it was around this table that BriarBrothers came to fruition. I think we were just drinking beers and so the hardest.
No, we were slamming shots of Jameson.
Hell yeah! That's what
See,
I'm
we're
talking
tying
about.
whiskey in somehow. I knew that it would happen.
I don't need to be quaint about it. We were slamming Jameson.
Yeah, we were pretty messed up. And I think at least between Joel and I, BriarBrothers, thankfully that came seamlessly, just maybe because we were heavily intoxicated that we were just agreeing with whatever we said and it just stuck the next morning.
Yeah.
But even so the name of the brewery is seamless, but naming a beer to us is probably one of the biggest things that we go back and forth on.
Yeah.
It's I'll send him a beer hey, this is we're coming out with this, you got a name for it, and he'll send me something
Yeah.
nah, I don't like it, and then of course I'll send something back and he's got to be the big brother and be nah, I don't like it either. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna post it.
The thing that's easy, that's why we came up with these series though, is because there's very difficult to disagree on an oxymoron.
Right,
I mean,
true.
Most of these sound pretty cool, so I mean we've had very fewer back and forth over the names of some of our stouts, but yeah, that's kind of where we go.
So you have the oxymoron theme. What other? Do you have other themes for your other brands too?
Yes. Yeah, we have our Berliner Weiss, which we can get into towards the end here, just based off of how our palates develop.
Oh, there you go.
But
Look at you using the fun words.
But yeah, our Berliner Weisses, we started off a couple batches ago. It's our Punch Bowl series. So that's another thing, and we kind of just name the Punch Bowl based off of what fruit and what adjuncts that we're putting into it. So we've had
mango and peach so far.
So we have mango punch bowl and a peach punch bowl.
Yep. So yeah, that's that, and then we also have Phantom, which is our experimental IPA series.
Oh, okay.
So Phantom is a New England style IPA that we base recipe, but we change the hops that go into it in each one, and that's a way for us to kind of experiment how different hops interact with each other, like how they complement each other, things like that. So that one will always be the same recipe, but just different hops, and it usually comes in variables of 3, sometimes 2.
Sure.
Depends, what we're trying to see. It's just how we kind of see how hops interact and what we want to do with future beers, different, style IPAs, anything like that. So those are pretty much our 3 main series, and then we have some in-betweeners. Some,
nice. Still toying with some ideas.
Yeah. So that's that, and I mean, ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, is there a specific requirement of the mash that you have where it has to be in order to call it a certain like IPA
Thing?
or to call it a stout or to call it something, or is it not as strict?
It's really how you like determine what a beer is really with the grain that you're using.
Okay.
Yeast as well, hops. I mean, all of it really depends. I mean, for New England IPAs, for example, you're using a lot of base malt, a lot of simple Pilsner malt, 2-row, things like that. You're also adding flaked adjuncts to add that, that haze, that head retention. So I mean, that pretty much, that's how you categorize an IPA. But really, it's what I'm looking for. It's almost endless of what you can do and how you can categorize it. So I mean, of course, like you can make sour stouts if you wanted. You could make farmhouse IPAs. So it all rolls around just really how you want to play with it.
I feel like you get a lot of like liberty in your own kind of say of what you want this beer to be.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you want it to qualify as this type of an IPA or this type of a stout, it just all kind of depends on, your and what you really kind of want to call it. There's so many different variations, different stouts and different IPAs that, like you said, it's almost endless.
So it seems like sour beers are coming. Like everybody wants sour beers. Do you guys talk about that? Like you guys doing it? What is the process of creating a sour beer? Or is that not on your plate?
No. So our Berliner, our punch bowl, is technically a sour.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it is. We do sour it. So we're aware of like where the market is, and of course, IPAs, of course, they've kind of dwindled down a little bit. Of course, they're good. You always try them. But yeah, the fruited sours, the fruity beers, those are definitely on the upcoming. A lot of people are going back to traditional style beers like the lagers, like the
Pilsners,
and
stuff.
Yeah. So we're aware of that. We brew a Pilsner every year for Christmas for our family. It's been almost a tradition that 2 years running.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're aware of the market, and so souring is a process. Mm-hmm. We kettle sour, which means we add a lactobacillus to our wort. So we'll bring it to a boil. We'll just kind of kill off any kind of bacteria that might be in there. Add a lactobacillus, which is a bacteria, to it. Let that sour the beer. For us, it takes about 26 to 28 hours.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll boil it off, and then that's what creates your sourness of the wort. So we do sours, and we're experimenting with different yeast strains, which do assist with that too. So yeah, we're aware. We're going to be doing a farmhouse IPA. That's going to be our next experimental one. So not really a sour, but you get that twang, that farmhouse twang to it.
Nice.
So yeah, we and again, fruity beer is kind of just like that's what's in right now. People like it. They like the color. They just
color sells.
Yeah, color does sell. If you have a pretty beer, we have a Loganberry Ale that it's a bright pink. People love it just because it just pops out of the glass like that.
So where do you get your fruit from? Are they local?
No. So we get our fruit from our grain supplier, our supplier for all our ingredients. It's fresh fruit, but I don't want to say pasteurized, but it's
a puree.
It's like a puree, yeah.
Okay.
So we don't have to worry about any bacteria getting into it. It's all sanitized pretty much. So we can pitch it directly into the wort once we're done with our fermentation. That's how we do ours for the punch bowl, at least. So we don't have to worry about any, introducing any of bacteria.
Probably makes it so much easier.
It really does.
So you started going to Wegmans for your fruit, and now you linked up with these guys. Is that what happened?
Wegmans never has any sales. I mean, I love Wegmans, but I mean, I just feel like I'm spending a fortune when I'm on it.
It's so true.
So here we got Public Secret.
Yeah. So this is Public Secret. So this is our Imperial Stout. It's 10.5%. It comes a little bit heavier. This one we condition it on toasted coconut, so you do get a little bit of that backburn in the coconut.
Oh yeah.
Again, coffee, because we love coffee.
Yeah, absolutely.
This one we have Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee in it, and then Madagascar vanilla.
Nice.
Derek's just
coffee.
Yeah. You didn't have to say anything else. You should have led with that.
I like how both of these so far, and I don't know if it's all of yours, but it starts with that initial carbonation, but then it settles so quickly, so you just get all flavor.
Right. Yep.
Is that by design?
We
or-
do that by
Okay,
design.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah, they know what they're doing, dude.
That is awesome.
That's why they're on the pod.
That is so good. True.
And we've talked about it before. We've had stouts that have been over-carbonated, which it does take away from the flavor that's in there because you're just tasting the bubbles, and by the time you swallow it, you're like, what did I just taste? Like, what is there?
Right.
So we've had beers that have been over-carbonated. We also have stouts that have been under-carbonated, where it's almost not enjoyable to drink almost.
Sure.
And so we found a healthy balance between the two where you can pour it out, you can still get that little bit of head retention. As you see, it goes away just a little bit as it sits, but if you shake it, you twirl it, it comes back.
Yeah.
So it is done by design. I feel like it's that right now we're in that healthy balance between carbonation and still getting enough though where you get the mouthfeel of what a stout should be, but without it being flat.
And you get that by aging, kind of like keeping it in cans? Or how does it normally happen?
Canning it does, when a beer sits in a can, it can adjust the carbonation level in there.
Okay.
But, when we actually carbonate it after we move it from the fermenter into a keg, we calibrate how much CO2 we're pumping into the beer. So that's all.
Sweet.
That's all determined by the amount of CO2, the level of pressure that's going into it, and how long it's going to be. CO2 is going to be saturating inside the wort.
Sure.
So I have an off question. So you've been doing this for 2 years. You got pretty good at it after about the first year, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. So after about a year and a half, you had your system. Things were going great. Did you ever just like mess up and you literally cried when you had to dump it?
Oh yeah, I walked in a few times where there's puddles on
Just
the
a mental
floor,
breakdown.
Just in fetal position on the ground.
I mean, his socks are just so. There's just cloths everywhere. I mean, I couldn't tell. I didn't know he wore mascara that day, but he did. It was running down his eyes. It was weird. But I mean, we learned a lot about each other and our process that day. Yeah, that's happened a few times. We're not too proud to say it. I mean, it's like again, it's a process. We're not brewing on these huge systems where if we have to pour one down, we're okay with it. It's better than it's a learning process. But yes, we've had a few of those.
How do you guys work as a dynamic as brothers? Is it easier than like a friend, or is it harder? Or
I think honestly, it keeps us really in check with each other. I mean, Dylan and I growing up, it's to the same right now. Our family instilled, you guys are brothers. You guys will always be each other's best friends, no matter what. That's really held true throughout. We had our, just like any brothers, you had your back and forth, your fights over stupid shit from time to time. Yeah. But honestly, we're comfortable enough with each other, and we know that our hearts are both in the right place when we say things. Whereas if coming back to just something as easy as the names of something, if he doesn't agree with something I say, I don't think it's just because he wants to have the one up on me. And he takes it the same way as if I have a critique about one of the beers that he makes. So I honestly think being brothers and not somebody who's friends and afraid to say things and afraid to step over somebody's toes or offend somebody because they might decide to no longer be your friend anymore. That gives us a better dynamic as a group because he's not going anywhere, I'm not going anywhere. Right. It's BriarBrothers,
Yeah,
that's what we're about.
I think too, like we did a pretty good job from the start of, again, I handle anything, anything beer, so anything like liquid, what you're drinking, anything packaging, everything that goes through me. And Joel, he does a lot of the business things. He does a lot of the financial work, things of that nature that make BriarBrothers a business.
Right.
So I think we do a good job at sticking to our roles where we're not our roles we're not stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah, maintaining your lanes.
Right.
Yeah.
But then again, coming together though when it comes to discussing things, again, Joel give me feedback on beer all the time. Like he'll be like, hey, I think you should try doing this, or what if you tried doing this? And it never comes out like it's like a jab. It never comes out that way. It's always in with his best heart in mind. And so we do a good job at that. We know how to be brothers, and we still bicker and everything like that like anybody, but we also know how to get down to business too, and kind of put our heads down and just grind it out.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah. Seriously, cheers.
All right.
That was our beep for this episode.
Yeah, really. So the four of you, or you guys got tattooed with the logo.
Yeah.
And there was four of you in the picture. Who are the other two individuals? Are they associated with the company at all or no?
They're the most loyal backers that we have. Both of them.
Clearly.
Honestly, that's what it comes down to. You can see this picture on our Instagram as well. It's just me, Dylan, and then our buddy John and our buddy Nick. They have been the guys from the beginning who are like, this beer sucks. This first one.
They had the bad beers. Like we tortured them enough, so now they get to enjoy the good ones now with us.
They were the ones who were like, this beer sucks, but keep going. And anytime that we had any doubts, anytime that we had questions about if we should keep doing this, aside from each other motivating us, it was them, and they've continued to push us and make sure that we're staying the course. And we came up with the idea, like, wouldn't it be crazy if we got a tattoo? And they were like, sign me up. They had no second guesses on it.
That's amazing.
How quick can we do it?
So cool.
And it's not a small tattoo either.
Right.
It takes up a good portion of our thigh. So
Where is it again?
it's on left thighs, right above the knee.
Solid.
You get them with some of those 9-inch shorts come summertime. You can
yeah.
see them peeking out the bottom.
Nice.
You're lucky if you get a glimpse of them. So, if you're not blinded by the whiteness.
Yeah, it's very, very pale down there.
So when you buy stock, you basically get a free glimpse. Of the tattoo.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, like, kind of piggybacking off what Joel said too. John, Nick, incredible guys, but even there's more people behind it too. Maybe not the ones who are crazy enough to get tattooed on them.
Yeah.
But for example, like my roommate Alex, like he helps day-to-day things, like with if I'm like, hey, can you help me can this beer? I don't want it could take a while, and he's always more than happy to help. And anybody you tell that you're working on opening a brewery, they thrive, like they get behind you, and they back you, and they try to help you the best that they can, whether it be somebody's like, oh, I know this guy, or hey, I do this. And so I think that in itself is what what keeps us going, is the community and the people that support us and push us and want to see us succeed.
We call them BriarBrothers backers.
Yeah, the backers.
There you go.
Yeah.
BBB.
Yep. We
Nice.
keep it going. But yeah, that's exactly right. There's never a shortcoming of people who want to help out. Not looking for anything in return, just wanting to be on the sidelines, just rooting you on and waiting for your dream and to become a real thing that they get to experience with you. It's crazy.
Because it's not an easy process making profits off of this stuff. It takes a while.
Yeah, just to even open the doors, it takes a while. Yeah. We've been, doing our thing here for 2 years now, and within the last 6 to 9 months, we've started to figure out what we need to do to actually make it a real thing and open some doors and pour some beers for people. And that part's not easy either. So, to have people that are willing to stick that out when they're not able to see the large quantity of beer or the huge billboards all over, or being able to say that, hey, we're going to this place on Friday night. It's great. Those are the real people you want to surround yourself with.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. So at what point does the state kind of benefit your like goal and dream, or do they not? And they always just try to nickel and dime.
Well,
because like there's everybody always like what we've experienced, especially in the whiskey side of things, is they're like, yeah, like the Farm Agricultural Act that helped us, A, B, and C, and then for the craft beer scene that blew up in Buffalo before the whiskeys did. So obviously that was a huge upswing. But at what point does it kind of help you?
It all depends on kind of where you're looking open, I guess.
Okay.
There are certain grants that are out there for brand new businesses, not just brewery related, because of the huge upswing in the craft brewery scene in Buffalo, which is great. A lot of those grants for brewery related businesses have kind of come and gone. So as far as how the state benefits, I guess it's just kind of more business, more jobs, and just more profit coming in that they get to tax on.
Well, yeah, of course.
But that's kind of really, I guess, how I see it. And a lot of it, because of how locally driven we are and how much support we get, a lot of it comes from just the people that we do business with. Whether it be, some of the grain suppliers that we work with, or some of the people who make our products, or help us with different things. It's just kind of like, I guess that's just business helping business in this area. And I think that's probably the closest way that they benefit, really.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are you able to test your product along the way, or does it have to be at a certain point to where, like, there's too much bacteria in here? I have no idea about the process, but, like, too much bacteria now, so it's dangerous for me.
You can test it along the way.
Exactly.
So the first
Yeah, we
part,
do it all the time.
Yeah. We love testing it.
15 gallons.
You can test along the way. Now, when the beer first goes into a fermenter, it doesn't taste the greatest. It's wort, technically, not beer yet. But we'll take samples of it. We take readings. There are measurements we take from it before we start fermenting it, just to get an idea of. That's how we determine alcohol percentage, really. So we always have like a tradition that we'll fill, and I think anybody really has to do it. We'll fill up like one of our like test cylinders that we test the Wharton, and then you always have to taste it. And it never tastes good.
No,
never. It's just it's room temperature liquid with grain water in it. It's not good.
Somehow it's still better than that first beer we tried. Somehow I don't understand, but it's somehow better.
And so we taste it then, and it gives you kind of an idea of what to expect. Now, obviously, you can't be like, this beer's gonna come out bad, dump it right away, because yeast has a huge factor on flavor. It's probably one of the bigger ones. So I'll test it before it goes in the fermenter. I'll let it chill for, hang out for about 3-4 days, let the yeast do its job. I'll taste it again. And then if we're making an IPA, we'll dry hop it, throw hops right in the fermenter, let it, dry hop, get more flavor that way. I will do one final taste before I put it into a keg, just to take more readings on it, and then put it in a keg, let it sit for a day or two after it carbonates, and then that's our product usually.
Wow.
And so you kind of get an idea as it goes, like what to expect, where you can see the flavor going on things. Now, you can't determine a beer if it's to be good or not. Well, you can, but you can't let this have you dump it down the drain if you're tasting it from the fermenter, because a lot of things can change. Carbonation adds flavor to beer. It adds aroma to beer. Yeah. So those are all factors. When you chill it down, that also affects the flavor. So it's not really until it's in a keg, carbonated, ready to drink, that we determine if it's something that we're going to put down the drain or if it's something that we're going to hang around with.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell, but it takes time. You have to wait around a little bit for it to see if it's a product that we're happy with and that we're going to continue to brew with. So
sure. So all guys have at least one brew kit for themselves. Like I feel like everyone has to at least try it once.
Yeah.
What advice can you give to somebody starting out that wants to do this and create their own beer for like either their own consumption or for mass consumption?
I think it's a mixture of a couple things. One, it obviously is just don't give up on it. If you actually really do want to do something with it, then don't let 1, 2, 10 beers deter you from keeping it going. Honestly,
10, 20, 40.
Seriously, at the end of the day, you still have beer. So,
right.
You're benefiting in some way, one way or another there. And then the second thing is, don't shy away from something as simple sounding as How to Brew Beer, a book. Like Dylan said, that's the book he read front to back a couple times, and that's what helped him alter some things that we were doing the first couple of batches that we were making that we weren't too proud of. But I think it's a combination of both of those things. Just, again, it almost sounds like any dream that you have.
Right.
Don't give up on it.
Right.
And then 2, don't be afraid to reach out. Like Dylan's saying also, everybody in the community, whether it be local or not, is very happy and willing to share with you what they're doing and what tips that they've found along the way.
Sure. Now, is there a difference in between the quality of equipment that you have? Obviously there is, because you wouldn't have bought it if it wasn't a huge difference, but is there a good enough difference where you would suggest people that want to do this to invest in high quality equipment because it'll taste better, or is there not that much of a difference between the two?
You don't have to break the bank to brew good beer.
Okay.
We bought our system for multiple reasons, because we're going to use it when we open up our official location as a pilot system that we'll do test batches on, that with new recipes. You can brew quality beer right from your stovetop. Like we did if you're familiar with the process and you're aware of what's happening, and you do it enough. So you don't have to buy top end equipment to brew good beer. It's it's not necessary.
Sure.
After we did our test batches with the kits, we jumped into all grain brewing right away, which is a little bit more advanced than extract brewing, not crazy. And we bought a system, again, it's an electrically heated system, 5-gallon system, and it was about $1,000 for it. And so it's a pretty penny. It's not cheap, but again, to us, we had this BriarBrothers in mind, when we were doing this. So when we bought it, again, same thing. We wanted to eliminate any variables that could be avoided with better equipment. So again, we dropped about $1,000 on our 5-gallon system. It worked flawlessly. It was, it was fun to brew on. It was easy. It was very, and you don't have to break the bank. It's a hobby. It doesn't have to be a job. It doesn't have to be, it's something that you can do in your free time. A lot of people do that too. You can use Home Depot buckets to carbonate your beer, to ferment your beer in if you want. You don't need these fancy fermenters, anything like that. So
ultimately, what made it something that we knew we wanted to continue to do is just that we had fun with it. Really, that's what it came down to. If you're not, I mean, you're not gonna have success in it. I mean, it it makes sense, you know. It gave us, not that we needed one, and another reason to get together and spend 4 or 5 hours together, you know, just on a random Saturday morning. If you just have fun with it, beer will come. It'll come out okay. It'll come out bad. It'll come out great. Like it's all about just how you're making it, who you're making it with, and ultimately that's what's going to help you get along the way too.
Yeah, I agree.
That's awesome. I literally feel like they're just two bros being bros.
I know.
And then they got their first 5-gallon system showed up, and they looked at each other like, "Dude, we're going places." Like I'm already a pro because this thing is at my doorstop. Like
that's honestly that's how brewers are here now. Is it's just bros being bros because it gets hot in here. Like boiling 20 gallons of anything, it gets warm. Like
a lot of cut-off tanks.
A lot of
hell yeah,
cheese and cut-off tanks. Yeah. That's all it is in here. It's
I'm waiting for the mullet.
I'm trying. It's gonna take a while. But yeah, like, I'm lucky enough. My roommate's, if he's around, he's very interested in the process. He'll hang out with me. I'll show him things, what's going on. But yeah, it gets hot in here, so it's a very bro day. We'll be slamming beers and
so cool.
And just hanging out and cut off some jeans and just hanging out.
It's fun. It's just fun.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Could I help with anything? You open the window.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a fan going.
Windows are open. Fans are blowing in here because it gets hot. It gets real warm in here.
That's awesome.
All right, so what do we got in front of us now?
All right, so this one it's called Can I Getta? It's
IPA.
Yeah, it's our New England IPA. It's more of like our house IPA, I want to say. It's a beer that we brewed a couple times through. We're really happy with how it comes out every time. It has a very aromatic. You can smell a lot of like the melon flavor to it. It has almost like a mango kind of scent to it. This is a beer that we're really happy with. That we started. We brewed it just seeing what would happen. That would be an experimental brew, and it came out good. We got a good response. People tried it, and we brewed it again. It came out well. This is our third time brewing. This is our third edition of it, and so again, it just has that haziness to a little bit there. Mouthfeel.
That's what you need.
It's a refreshing drink.
Right, and it comes in at about 6.5%. So it's on a little heavier side. It's not your but again, it's refreshing. It's just easy to drink.
It's only heavy if you sweat soy. This is mint.
Yeah.
This is so good.
Can we put that on? That was pretty good. I mean, I just honestly love the name. I think it's a great name.
Can I get it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like all I picture is that person that's at a crowded bar and they're trying to read through all the crazy names that are all these.
Can I get
exactly?
Absolutely, go for it.
And that eliminates that wait. He's like, yes, you can. And
yeah,
you walk away.
It's already there. It's waiting there for you already. So I mean, that's it's super lucky this beer came out like a banger because it's our funniest name I think that we have, and
it's not very like over hoppy. You get some of these IPAs or double IPAs that they're doing now, and it's just sometimes it's unbearable to drink.
Exactly.
You guys are so consistent across all three of these that they're just they're very, very good. You guys know what you're doing.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
We like to pretend we do it.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. BriarBrothers.
Unofficial slogan. No, that's not endorsed by us.
Yeah, we literally have a hashtag. It's hashtag not a sponsor because we quote everybody and nothing comes back to us.
Smart. I like your legal team too. Yeah, it just comes down to again, we don't want to chew on beers. There's going to those extremely hoppy and bitey beers. It's not something that we've ever enjoyed. There are people out there that want them. We're not those guys, and that's kind of what we do. We just make beer for people that like drinking beer like we do. That's really what it comes down to.
All these seem like everyday drinkers, where you can even the stouts, the stouts that you poured. I couldn't see just drinking that little bit that you gave that you can get full off of them. They're because stouts are very overpowering, especially like some of the craft ones where you have one and immediately you're like, that was good, but no way I'm having another one because I'll throw up.
Yeah.
This is just so drinkable and it goes down so easy.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to start going with that is that you some of these IPAs that come out, they're great, they taste great, but you're full. Like you can have one and then that's it. You can't have any more. And some of that, a lot of that boosts off of ABV. If you have a higher alcohol percentage beer, it's going to naturally come out more, bitier. It's going to have that,
hop forward.
Yeah, that hop forward to it. And we've gone down that avenue. We brewed a double IPA back in December. But again, it wasn't, I don't personally think it was too fulling. It wasn't too, like, you drank when you're like, you felt bloated or heavy at that point. It went down real smooth. It didn't bite at the end of it. It was, I'm not trying to blow up my own head here, but it came out pretty good.
Yeah,
I was impressed. I was happy with how it came out, and that was the first time we brewed it. And that will be one that will come out again sometime. But
so, what's your favorite one that you have out or that you've made?
It all comes down to, I guess, the style. Honestly, I think the best beers that we make are those stouts.
Okay.
I think consistently our stouts are amongst the top, at least in this area. When it comes to IPAs, you're drinking it. This is my favorite IPA that he makes.
Yeah, this is super good.
And this Punch Bowl series that we're going to get into too is very, very fun, and it's interesting. Again, it kind of comes out more so in the spring and the summer when you're going to kind of really get into them because of that citrusy fruits that we're putting into it, that fun kind of pop to it, if you will. And it's just, across the board, I think stouts are things that I enjoy the most from this guy. He's just continuing to knock them out of the park.
This guy.
yeah, stout. I agree. Stouts are fun. They're fun to play around with. You can it's endless what you can do with a stout. It's whatever you want to throw in it. People throw peppers in the stouts, hot peppers.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't Big Ditch have a jalapeno stout or something like that?
Maybe.
I think so. I think
Someone
it's been
has a
while since
jalapeno
they've had
something.
it.
Yeah.
I know Ellicottville does one.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what the name of it is though. But.
So you guys never worked in the beer industry at all, have you?
I did.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have any formal education. Never went to any of the ECC programs,
Sure.
Anything like that. But I was lucky enough one day to be inside Buffalo Brewing Company. It's downtown,
Oh, cool.
right? It's right across the street from Beltline, right by 500 Seneca, right there. And the owner, John Domrez, he was in there and he was, working. It's a very small, small brew house. It's a tap room, excuse me, and it's more of distribution. A lot of it just kind of goes out the door to like the bars. And we were talking. I told him, what we were getting into, that I wanted to get into going into a program like ECC, and he was like, "Why don't you just come work with me? Like, why don't you just, just?" And he took me right in, and it was just him and I in there. There was nobody else. I was his assistant brewer. He was owner, head brewer. He did everything, and everything that a lot of the things that I apply to what I'm doing now is from him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, great guy. And again, that's where it comes through that environment or that culture of just accepting, helping people and wanting to show them. And he knew from the beginning what my goal was BriarBrothers was that, and he didn't hold anything back. Any of his knowledge that he had, he taught me everything.
That's so sick. Like, you don't hear about stuff like that anymore. The last time literally dudes our age heard about stuff like that was like the Renaissance. Like the artist brought in a little Padawan and then raised him up. Like that, you don't hear about that.
Right.
I think the only industry that has that kind of like education, I guess you can call it, an apprenticeship, is tattooing.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty much fend for yourself, feed into the wolves.
Yeah.
Even like the trades and all that. It's kind of rare.
I think a lot of the breweries and the people who are owning them realize that breweries thrive off of other breweries. We're in such a day and age where these brew buses or these party buses or these pedal tours are going from one place to another, and the idea of going from one brewery and then going a couple blocks down and going into another brewery is huge. That's the culture that we're in right now, where all these things are happening. So again, it's one of those places where competition isn't competition. It's just helping your business succeed. A lot of places locally do a lot of collaborations with each other because they know that it benefits both parties. Two breweries getting together, coming up with a recipe, figuring it out together, and bringing their best foot or their strongest suit and matching it with somebody else's strongest suit. It just makes for a fun experience. And again, we wouldn't be where we are, or we would either be buried if we didn't have those the support from, again, everybody in this area, which is awesome.
Ideally, where would your most perfect location be when you guys get to that point?
We're in it,
Are
bro.
you thinking about that?
You're sitting in it now.
Is it down in Buffalo, or is it some sort of suburb?
We're kind of bouncing back and forth with some of the areas and the demographics of the people. We obviously know that location's huge.
Absolutely.
Going back to that point where we want to be around other places. I mean, ideally, we're in that area, that downtown area. Old First Ward's not out of the question.
Right.
Going towards the city, going towards the arena, that area is always fun.
It's a developing area too, so that'd be huge.
Yeah,
exactly.
Especially with some of the stuff by Riverworks coming in too, like the Encore Golf.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to stop for a beer after golf.
Right, I know who wouldn't. So I mean, that's kind of, I guess, if we had our, if we had our sights set on one location, it'd be in that area right
Nice.
now. But we're not blind to the the suburbs area. Our roots in West Seneca, there's an opportunity there. With not having much or any craft beer exposure out there.
That's true.
So I mean, you gotta. We're going back and forth with it, and that's kind of where we're at in the process of getting our own spot. Is just figuring what's going to work best for us and the people that are ultimately going to be drinking our beer.
That would be huge in West Seneca because you really only have Ebenezer Ale House, and that's Rusty Nickel. Yeah, that'd be huge.
Right,
and then that's where like Joel was saying, it kind of piggybacks off of, well, there aren't other breweries out there, so how breweries thrive off of each other. They really do. And so, would that be an issue or would that not be an issue for us? Right. Would we be able to create an environment for people to come as a destination brewery, that they would come and stay and hang out? Those are things that you kind of have to take into factor. And I'm pretty sure I think we're on the same level when it comes to that, is that wherever that is, suburb or city, as long, if the right opportunity comes, the location and, the price is right, you can't be too picky at that point. And so I think that's where we're both at with that, is just,
we're fully aware that this brewery or tap room, whatever it is that we first opened to get our name and our licensing out there, is not going to be our retirement brew house. Right. We need something that's going to get us on the map, get our name out there, and then we'll take it from there. So that goes to what Dylan said. Right. That price is out there, and then that opportunity is out there. We're going to seize it.
High ceilings, low rent.
Yeah, really.
That's it. High ceilings, low rent.
Exactly.
That'd be. I mean, there's so many things that a lot of people don't think about too, because you got North America Drive, which is a huge industrial park for those that are listening that are not familiar with Buffalo and West Seneca specifically. But you got North America Drive, which is full of different plants. You also have Union Concrete, that's all right there, and then all those dudes. After a 12-hour shift of building the 90, they definitely want a beer.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. That'd be awesome.
I want a beer just driving the 90.
Yeah, that's true too.
Not while driving the 90. Let's be clear on that. Not while driving.
Actually, not sponsored.
Yeah. Nice cover.
So how can people help you guys? Obviously, without buying your product, how can they help? Follow your Instagram and just follow your passion until you get there?
Buy some merch.
Yeah. Buy some merch.
We got some merch. So I mean, reach out. We honestly, we're kind of we're in the stage where we're a few weeks out from having our actual website up and running too. So we are working with the local developer to get that out there, which will hopefully drive some of our merchandise sales as well. But yes, following us on Instagram, keeping up with us, just kind of looking and liking and everything that we're doing, it helps. I mean, because we could post 1,000 pictures and it doesn't matter if nobody cares about it, because when we open up, it's not gonna be the 4 guys that had tattoos on their thighs that are gonna make this, gonna be able to drink all the beer. They give it a good shot, but I mean, they're not gonna be able to drink it all themselves. So when that time comes, we need people, and the only way we're really gonna be out there is from everybody talking about us and being interested in us and just keeping up with us. We're gonna get there. So you're not following a dead end account, I promise.
Yeah. Hey, you guys are very open to everything too. So if you send a direct message to either of you guys, you respond within minutes. So if you guys want to learn, if anyone listening wants to learn about your process or kind of an update on where you guys are at, just shoot you a message. And
exactly.
You
Stop by.
respond.
I mean, like I said, we got a bro dig coming down it seems like once or twice a week. So get your cutoff tanks.
Yeah, wear your bro tanks and come on down.
I might need a pair of boots because it gets a little wet in there.
Yeah.
We're all right.
You can help out too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll put you to work too. Yeah. No handouts around here.
That's awesome. What's your Instagram handle?
So we're at BriarBrothers Brewing. So it's all one word. One thing that I like to stress, and it's a pet peeve of mine, and it has no reason to be. But it's the BriarBrothers is one word. There's 2 capital B's in it, but there's no space between
BriarBrothers.
Yeah, the Briar and the Brothers. But so that's why we have 3 B's in our logo, because BriarBrothers is one word but 2 capitals. But yes, we're at BriarBrothers Brewing Company, or BriarBrothers Brewing on Instagram, and that's where you can find us.
Cool.
Can we have them on the pet peeve section?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We literally just recorded an episode.
Yeah,
like
we saw.
last
Yeah, I
week.
saw that. Yeah.
We were getting fired up talking about the 90s. We were getting heated.
I was watching your one episode about snowboards or snowboarding that you guys are planning on going somewhere or going.
We would
You
love
wanna
to.
get out
We would
there?
love to, yeah.
Do you guys snowboard?
No, God, no.
I skied
We should
for-
try it.
I skied for the last time almost a year ago now. Went down, wasn't the Bunny Hill. It was whatever, I think it's Schoolhouse in Holiday Valley. Was trying to learn. My girlfriend was teaching me, doing the pizza and French fries routine. I was told it was going to be just like...
Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
awesome.
I was told if you're good at ice skating, you'd be decent at skiing. So I was learning to try to stop, toppled over, shoulder came out of its socket. I was brought down on the back of a snowmobile, and it was a whole thing. So that was the last time I was out on any plank on snow. So I will not be joining that outing, but I would happily enjoy myself from the what do they call it?
The lodge.
Yeah.
Watching you guys.
You want to go? Well, we'll let you know when we're going.
So back in high school, I bought a snowboard, and I wasn't the slimmest of kids back in high school, and I bought all the gear. I balled out. I bought it all. I went once, and awful. It was like the worst experience of my life. And then the one part that was like, this isn't for me, is that I hit so hard, my feet came out of the bindings, and the board went down the hill without me.
Wow.
Literally, that's the most action that board got, was without me on top of it. Like, it went right down. I had to walk down the whole hill.
But was your shoulder fine?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
come on.
so I don't think I
on,
got
man.
worse.
So this is your sour that you just poured?
Yeah, so this is our sour.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just leftover from the first one.
No. Yeah, sorry. I saw you kind of cuvate it, so I'll...
Yeah, Jesus, I literally mixed. I'm sorry, I can taste the sour. I get it. I'm all in. All in.
Here, just I've drank enough of it. Try mine.
I drank not a Kuwait.
I was like, all right, you know, you do.
It's
Yeah.
ballsy, but
You
okay.
live your life.
But that is great.
That's super good.
I've drank enough of it. So this beer likes to come out of the can. So all of our cans are pop top open. We did that for a couple reasons. One, marketing, people love, like, you can just pop the whole top off. Then also there's a couple more factors to it. So when you pour it out, when you pour beer out of a traditional, that tab style beer can, it bubbles out. So it creates extra foam, head retention. It kind of takes away from, drinkable beer almost. So when you have a full lid like that, it allows air in to flow out. So it pushes beer out a little bit smoother. That's why when we poured our beers for you, you weren't getting this huge amounts of head on the top. So that was another factor. And then another thing too, and this is maybe just me or anybody really, when you drink anything, you always smell it. And I'm a big believer that smell and aroma affects flavor too.
Absolutely.
So for the time that you're on the golf course or you're out at a party and you have a can of BriarBrothers, you pop the top off. When you put your nose and you drink it, your nose goes into the can.
Sure.
So you can pick up that aroma as well.
Instead of getting cut on the lid.
Yeah, right. Or pushing it, or pressing up against the the aluminum, top. So. There are a couple of factors as to why we do it. We're happy with them. Again, with our fruited beers at least. Again, the beer does like to come out. It's exciting.
This is very good.
Thank you. Yeah, that's one.
Is it pineapple in there?
Mango.
Mango?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is our mango punch bowl. It's a Berliner style, Berliner Weiss. We add vanilla and lactose to it as well,
wow.
Which kind of gives it that creamy mouthfeel almost, and it kind of adds a little bit of haze. Obviously, the puree does that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very drinkable beer. This one comes in about 5%, 5.5%. So
Sneaky.
Yeah, it's sneaky for sure. And yeah, we're really happy with this one. This is something that we knock on wood, have batches coming out soon of with, and we're going to experiment with different fruits, how they react. We're going to do a couple of mixtures of, different ones together. But yeah, we're happy with this one. And, that again reaches out to that fruit beer drinking market.
Yeah.
Along with our Loganberry Ale, which again it's an ale. It's not really a sour, so it's not doesn't have that bite to it.
Sure.
But yeah, they're real drinkable, real easy, and they're fun to make too. I mean, I like making sours.
Yeah.
Good summertime crushes.
So when people make a home brew at home, just like out of their kit, they normally, like, if you ever get a beer from them, they say just only pour and leave a little bit because of sediment at the bottom. Mm-hmm. What causes the sediment at the bottom, and why isn't there any with yours?
There's a couple things. So when you're brewing a homebrew kit, you're usually brewing on buckets. So buckets don't have, so fermenters they're conical, so they have that cone shape on the bottom.
Okay.
So when you have more advanced equipment, you're allowed, it's called cold crashing, which means you chill the wort down the beer at this point to just above like 38 degrees, 40 degrees, and all of that sediment, all that yeast in suspension drops to the bottom.
Oh, okay.
And you're able to filter that out through the bottom. And again, there are breweries that do have filtration systems. We don't. So with that eliminates it. Now, some of our IPAs do still have sediment in them. You'll see it on the bottom of the can. It's just natural. It's haze from the hops that are in there and just the yeast that still sits there. The yeast strains that we use for our IPAs are low flocculent, which means that they stay in suspension longer and they're harder to get out of suspension. So that does cause the that sediment on the bottom.
Sure.
But with home brewing, especially bottle conditioning, there's not really much filtration. You're just siphoning it out of a bucket, which it will stay there.
Yeah.
So that's why, and you're not cold crashing in buckets either really too much unless you have the equipment to do that, which again you're spending more money.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And also, you chose cans instead of bottles. Was there a reason behind that? Because of the nose, the smell that you were talking about, or was it just you wanted cans?
There's a couple factors. So bottles are just they're more expensive. Well, they're heavier. They take up more room. Cans are light. They were cheaper for us.
Cans are in right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true.
I mean, everybody is doing, putting together 4-packs or 6-packs or whatever it is that they're doing. And cans are in. They're easy to grab. I mean, you don't have to carry an opener with you when you're drinking them. I mean, it's just it made sense. And I mean, the whole process of, no light getting in there too helps with keeping our beer longer.
Yeah, it keeps it fresher.
So
Because then you got to deal with the color of the can, right?
Right.
Because I'm a huge color of the bottle.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge proponent. I like Green Lives Matter. Green bottled beers taste better to me.
Okay.
So Stella, Peroni, all that stuff tastes better than darker bottled beers.
Okay.
Because it affects, from what I know, it makes it skunkier or whatever,
Yep.
and I like that taste to
Yeah.
my beer sometimes.
Okay.
So with cans, you don't have to worry about that at all.
A lot less light penetrating, meaning none.
Yeah.
We don't zero. A lot less.
Zero.
That is a lot less.
I think that's kind of where it is. It's more so it's between that, it's the fad right now, and I mean that's really what you got to keep up with.
Easier to store too.
Yeah.
Everything. I just think cans are just easier in general. We've done a couple of stouts and one or two in bottles. Our stouts, our bigger stouts. Last year we released like a 13-14%er. We put those in bombers. So yeah, it kind of depends, but we're not against bottles. Eventually we'll be doing bottle stouts, things like that. I personally want to start getting into more like saison, traditional style beers, things like that, or wild ales that you can ferment right in the bottle or let it carbonate naturally in the bottle, things like that. So that will eventually come down the road. It'll something that come up with that. We will play with bottle conditioning and things like that.
So speaking of that, what else would you like to highlight about your company, like future states or anything? This is just your time. What would you like to highlight about BriarBrothers coming up or anything?
I mean, it kind of just goes back to you staying tuned. I mean, really, our best days are still ahead of us. I mean, it's cliche as it sounds. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, I'm confident in saying that every beer that we've made, for the most part, is always getting better. We're learning new things as we go. People are teaching us new things. We're learning new things not only about beer making, but ourselves and what our actual opportunities are out there. So I'd say that's really the biggest thing about us is that stay with us. Again, we're not planning on going away. This isn't something that, again, is just a hobby. It started as a hobby for sure. It started as a last ditch Christmas gift, but I mean, it wound up coming from something that was just to kill time and try and fill our beer fridge until being something that we could hopefully fill other people's beer fridges with. That's ultimately our goal. I mean, that's really all I can say is that we're not going anywhere. We're here for the long run. We want you guys to be too, and that's really, I guess, what we're all about.
And I think too, like, we're very transparent in what we're doing. We from the beginning, and a lot of breweries that you just see them open up one day. You don't really know like where they came from or what they are. And I think we took more of an unorthodox approach to it, where we we announced what we were doing before any of that was set in place, before we had the building, and we want people to kind of watch us grow into, you know, one day when they're sitting in a tap room drinking our beer, they're like, we saw these guys when they were working in their kitchen, and you know, then that will be fun for us to reflect on, and I feel like people who've been following us from the start are going to be able to to almost see that success, you know, feel like, and they are a part of that success because they support us from the start, and that's something that is why I think where we are today is just the support that we have.
Yeah. It's still surreal because I mean, there's such a huge community out there that support craft beer and the process itself. That you know, Dylan and I will be out, you know, in a group of people, whether it be at another brewery or just at a different event that's about beer. And there's a lot of the Buffalo Beer Geeks. That will actually, it's a Facebook group, so I promise.
Buffalo
it's a
Beer
real,
Geeks.
yeah, Buffalo Beer
Love
Geeks
it.
is a thing.
Join it when I get home.
I think there's a few questions you have to answer to make sure you know something about beer.
Gotcha.
But this process should have helped you.
Do you like beer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
it's
you're
perfect.
Yeah. You're in.
But it's still so surreal because there are people that will actually come up to Dylan or myself and just be like, "Are you the guys from BriarBrothers?"
Oh, sweet.
Or we'll see random people that, I mean, not random, but you know, people that are friends of friends that are like our shirts on, and it's at that point where we don't really believe it that it's gonna that there could be somebody out there that we don't know that's wearing our shirt,
Sure.
having a sticker of ours, or seeing a sticker in like Coulter Bay or one of the other restaurants or something like that, and it's just, we didn't put those there.
Right.
It's just cool to see that like somebody else had it, they want to be out there. And but yeah, I mean, it's just such a fun process. It's been such a fun ride so far. And I mean, like I said, our best days are ahead of us for sure.
It's so dope.
Yeah, you guys are doing it the right way. Build a base now, open it later. That way it's sustainable.
Let's hope so.
That's great.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. We really appreciate everything. These beers were fantastic.
Thank
You
you.
definitely go follow them on Instagram because they're going places. This is delicious.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
a
Yeah,
lot of
thank you.
fun.
Thanks for drinking with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Literally anytime.
Yeah, as long as you wear the bro tank, your door's open.
That's it.
Door's open.
Now we know dress code for next
Because
time.
it's hot in here.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
It's not an open door policy. Just
Cool. Thank you guys.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.